Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to this month's second episode of Real Geeks, where we're basically just cramming everything in before HalCon.
Do it before it's too late.
And this time around, we're discussing and I say this not to indicate whether or not it's a good movie or a bad movie, but the generic Will Smith action film Gemini Man. This is the latest from director Ang Lee. Although, oddly enough, you couldn't tell that from about 3/4 of the movie.
You know, there isn't even one, dove that flies by in slow motion.
Not in slow motion, but there was that one point during his standard motorcycle action sequence.
Yeah.
So there's still some of the Ang Lee cliches.
Yeah. A motorcycle does get used in hand-to-hand combat. That's pretty Ang Lee. And we will get to it, but it just felt kind of like, okay. And then the rest of this was shot by your second unit director? The rest of the entire film?
Oh, yeah. The filming itself is definitely something we're going to get into and get into very extensively because I had issues. But this time around, Will Smith is playing Henry, an aged DIA hitman. So he completes his final assignment as the movie opens. And we also discover that he's 50 and he's just starting to develop morals now.
Yeah. You know, that whole post-midlife crisis moral quandary thing that some people have.
He retires. It's the standard. He goes off like he said to the cabin.
You got boat.
And a security system tied to his cell phone, which
I actually kind of really like that.
Yeah, I like it's that. It seems odd, but it's done but not overdone to such a way that you kind of go, yeah, all right.
It's so painfully realistic.
Yeah.
I almost expected it to include a shout out to whatever app he's using. And it's just like, no, this is real. You could totally have it. Because it's real. You could totally have it. They just don't mention what specific app he's using. And it's like, this movie included a bunch of shout outs to H&R Block, of all things. And you didn't include, for money's sake, the name of the app that you could totally have used this as an ad for. The fuck.
Yeah, and as he goes to rent a boat to go fishing, we meet Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who, as much as frankly she's kind of a celebrity crush of mine, I honestly didn't realize that it was her for the entire movie.
Yeah. She's hidden well by a very bland character, who is. This whole film is a throwback to 90s action films.
Oh, yeah.
She's very much a 90s character. And that's on top of the fact that she had, it works within the show because she is actually an agent undercover meant to track him. Just keep an eye on him. Nothing malicious. But her cover is that she's a marine biology student. And it's just like, honey, you don't look like you're in first year marine biology. He could have just completely separate from anything else. The 50-year-old super assassin, special agent, would have looked at it and been like, bullshit. Just tell me any other bullshit except for what you just said. Was painfully obvious.
Oh no! And the best thing is that's exactly what Henry does.
Yeah,
word for word.
I do love how efficient this film is at certain points, because he immediately goes no, and he starts pointing out reasons why it's like you're not a marine biologist student. You're clearly working for the DIA. Here's this, and she goes, no, that's crazy. You're talking crazy. And he flips it around so fast. Exactly how she'd react as an agent, being like, okay, let's go out for lunch tomorrow. And she's just like, I have to watch this asshole. I can't say no. Sure. Yeah, because that's how you'd react when a creepy random guy starts being like, you're a government agent. You're a
Oh
government
yeah,
agent.
and, like the entire first act is basically just a giant info dump.
Yes.
But at the same time, Will Smith and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, like they're so charming
Yeah. No,
that
it's not,
it still works.
it's not an info dump in a painful sense.
No.
That someone walks in the room, and they could have done this. They even have the scene where two shady government agents are talking to each other, and that could have been just nothing but info dump. And it wasn't. It was more just like, we're going to do something. Yes, let's do something. Talking vaguely and
Yeah.
threats. Talking vaguely and threats with cutting back to them, and then they info dump in a charming conversational way where she's still trying to vaguely prove she's not a DIA agent, and he's kind of laying out the groundwork for the rules of this world. Great. Awesome. I loved it.
Oh, and another really great thing with the first act is that, like, early on, you basically get a setup that this is going to be Will Smith's Deadshot in a Bourne movie.
Yeah.
And
you know what? Like, when Todd Phillips with last week's episode Joker said, "Oh, we're gonna sneak a real movie in through the guise of a comic book movie," frankly, I think Ang Lee should have done that with this. This should have been a Deadshot film. Easy money.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's a moment of painful foreshadowing early on where Will Smith, out of nowhere, bats and crushes a bee and goes, "I'm deadly allergic to it." You're just like, there's a big fucking sign. You're just being like, remember, audience.
Oh yeah,
remember."
no, and also hold on to that because I often with these movies I find that one little thing that is clearly me nitpicking.
Yeah.
But it's also just that moment where my brain just goes, hold on, stop for 1 second. I have questions.
I
So
saw,
we're gonna come back to the bee.
yeah.
But as the first act in the setup wraps up, Henry meets up with his info contact who basically tells him that the file he got for this last target was spiked,
which means it was bullshit.
And so the person that he took out was not essentially a bioterrorist. He's a scientist who had been doing work for the Gemini Corporation, because we've got to work the title in.
Yeah. In case you were wondering what that referred to, it's a company.
And then in comes the low-budget Ed Harris that we know as Clive Owen.
Poor Clive Owen. I used to love Clive Owen, like the first Sin City and Children of Men. Fantastic. And recently, he's only been doing cheesy villains like this and Valeria.
Oh!
Where you're waiting the whole time for some sort of complication of his character.
Yeah.
And it truly turns out he's just like, no, I committed genocide because I wanted a promotion. Oh, okay,
yeah, no,
you're
like,
evil.
he is so obviously the villain that Idris Elba is coming straight out of Hobbs and Shaw, looking at Clive Owen and going, "Oh, come on now."
Can't you be a little complex? Can't you have some charm?
And so, of course, the DIA sends the standard hit squad to take out Henry because movie, and
because he is able to take out alone with like one gun this entire super tactical hit squad with full face cover armor bullshit.
But I think they did do enough to establish his experience and his skills that, and as much as there's a Rambo-esque element to that scene, it doesn't go to the same level of absurdity that Rambo did. Like when Henry escapes, he could have just run.
He could just run.
But because we've already established that he's developing morals, he decides to go and grab Danny, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, because he knows that they're going to take her out too, because anyone who is connected to him in any way is about to die.
Which makes no sense because literally her job, one, she's been on the job one day, is to just tail him at his when he's boating. It's essentially make sure that we know when he's on his boat. That's her job. And so they're going to kill this agent because of that one thing. She wasn't involved in anything else. She didn't know anything else. And they're just like, let's kill her. Why? You could just be like, no, we're pulling your detail. Go somewhere else.
Yeah. And like we see them take out Henry's spotter, which
makes sense.
Yeah, okay. That part made sense.
He was involved in the hit. They take out his handler. Okay, that makes sense. He was involved in the hit. She had nothing. He intentionally brought her into the line of fire. And the whole thing would have been completely fine if halfway through the film, she was just like, you're using me as a shield, aren't you? And he's kind of like, yeah, I totally did that. You weren't in any danger until I put you there. But that's because I'm a brutal bastard and I'm trying to get over it, but you know.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, it could have gone that way, or the way I kind of took it was the agency just assumed that because she's connected to him in even the slightest way, he might have told her something and therefore she has to die.
But they attached her.
Yeah, oh, no, I'm not saying in any way that this makes sense.
Yeah, no. It's so badly done. It's like, and keep in mind, this is an agency that it is shown can spy on you and listen to your conversations from like half a mile up in the sky with a drone. They literally could be watching everything that they talk about and could confirm, no.
Yeah.
She got made. She totally got made, but he didn't divulge anything about the op. No, fuck it, kill her.
Again, because movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
movie has to happen.
But, and so he gets there basically just after a member of this kill squad has gotten to her, and she has this exchange with a generic hit squad goon where he's like, tell me everything he said. You're going to tell me everything he said to you, or you're going to tell me in 5 minutes without your teeth. She kicks the crap out of him.
Yeah. Beats the shit out of him and then repeats the line back. And then there's a line about 5 minutes later where she reveals that she totally did follow through and shatter every tooth in that guy's mouth.
I love the fact that there wasn't even a line. It's just Henry shows up, basically asks her what happened.
Yeah.
She holds out her hand, drops a few teeth into his hand, which was like, yeah, okay, but I just wish that had been done on camera. I think that would have just done so much to establish her skill level for later on.
It's true, because she is kind of whatever we need. She's not Mary Sue, but she's whatever is necessary for the scene.
And so, of course, this initial hit fails, and Clive Owen is like, okay, you're going to let me send my guy in, and this will be the part where I'm going to drop the spoiler warning. Because this is when the movie switches to Will Smith versus the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, which I loved. He gave a decent performance as himself, younger. There's certain qualities that they really... All right, number one, there are moments in this film that have horrible CGI.
Oh my God!
Horrible ragdoll physics, everything is fucked. But the exact reason for that is because they took all that money and they threw it at the effects necessary to make Will Smith look and sound and even move like he used to. That's a perfect de-aging. I loved it. I loved it.
Okay, here's the thing.
It's been a long time since I've seen Fresh Prince, though.
Like, Will Smith's performance in both roles is wonderful.
Yeah.
Seeing this in the theater, in 3D...
Oh, I didn't see it in 3D, so...
As soon as... And I'm going to keep calling them Will Smith and the Fresh Prince just to distinguish the two, and it's just funny to me. But as soon as the Fresh Prince comes onto the screen in the on his motorcycle, I just went, oh no. Oh no. One of the biggest things media-wise with this film is how the younger Will Smith is it's not de-aging, it's not motion capture. He's entirely digitally created.
Really?
And it's as I understand it, they were like, yeah, we're gonna film this movie at 120 frames a second.
Yeah.
To cover most of the visual issues with this film, as a result of this process. Here's the thing.
It seems like a lot of extra work.
You might want to make sure the theaters can actually show the film the way you filmed it first.
Yeah, no theater in this province can show that to start with.
No, not only that, because I did see an article about this, and would you like to know how many theaters apparently in all of America can actually show the film, or are properly equipped to show it at 120 frames a second?
One of them's probably owned by Quentin Tarantino, but
14.
14
in all of America.
Glorious.
And like the article literally actually lists all 14 theaters. Biggest problem with this film, seeing it in theater at least, was the visuals. It looks awful.
And like it looks awful, but I feel like it looked worse in 3D based on your response, because it looked very flat. I was watching just the normal one.
Yeah.
Normal one on a normal projector. And yes, there are moments, there are egregious moments where you're like, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake. But the rest of it, like, I thought that they just did the traditional de-aging on his face. I didn't know that he was completely built, essentially. Which is actually thematically relevant to the show.
Frankly, yeah.
But like, seeing it just in flat, normal space, that doesn't stand out. It looks perfectly fine. They overreached when they could have done nothing. Really, it would have been fine.
On the one hand, there are shots where, as much as like the 3D does look great, but at the same time, Ang Lee pulls a Zack Snyder because it's stuff that's coming toward the camera.
Yeah. For
the sake of having stuff come toward the camera.
I assume you are talking about the bike fight for the most part.
I think part of it, yeah. I remember there was one point, there was a moment where there's like glass shattering and the pieces are flying toward the camera. And it's like, you did that just because it's 3D. That's it. Like, at the end of the day, this film is the poster child for 3D as a cash grab. This does not need to be in 3D.
Yeah, if you're going to do 3D, do it the way Disney does 3D. 1, particle effects. Awesome. 2, depth of field. If you have, say you're talking about the shot where the Avengers are going to Thanos on the Paradise Planet.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 rows of 6 people. Then you simply set the first row forward a bit, middle row, final row is back a bit. It looks perfect. It doesn't stand out, but it makes it feel a little more realistic. Captain Marvel's opening when stuff's exploding,
yeah,
and there's the sand going up, perfect, because it's particle effects of the explosion wave and the sand. It's not for that point. It's just we can add a layer to this, and it looks a little more realistic. It's not.
Yeah, no, like when I saw this, there are scenes early on between Henry and Danny where the foreground is so sharp and the background is so blurred that I honestly expected the background at some point to fade out and get the black and yellow grid of a holodeck.
And there are moments in this. I don't even know why they did it so badly. I swear, if they had simply stood in front of an old painted backdrop, it would have looked better. I watched First Night last night, and let me tell you, that's a pile of shit, but it had blue screen sections that were better done than this. And pile of shit.
I've made jokes over the years about how when you watch the Indiana Jones franchise, you just play spot the green screen, and even that one is looking at this and going, "Oh, for God's sake!"
Yeah. if you're going to do bad green screen, then do the old-fashioned shit. Have the bad cutout. Have one of them be clearly on a different contrast and color balance than the background. If you're going to do it, make it bad intentionally.
Yeah, like this is how bad this was for me. Okay, number one, when good old Fresh Prince comes in on the bike for the first time, he looks so wooden and so stiff. Now, you remember how back in the 70s with, I think it was Game of Death, where they had to pull every cinematic and camera trick they could think of to cover the fact that Bruce Lee had died early in filming.
Yeah.
And there's that one point where it's literally a picture of Bruce Lee's face pasted onto the actor. That opening moment with Fresh Prince there just looked so bad. That was what I thought of.
That's
number one.
Fair.
And there are moments in this movie that look so digital.
Yeah.
So fake.
And so
that
weirdly fake.
You expect to find out that they were filmed on a home movie camera.
Yeah.
To the point that I said this to Trevor after when we were talking after, and I stand by this. I have seen porn that looks better than this movie. But with that, and since I did just get the 10-minute warning from the library staff, we're gonna go into final thoughts and ratings. And frankly, I should have loved this movie. This is the type of action film where normally I would have a blast.
Yeah.
And as much as I did leave the theater with a smile by the end of it, visually, like I said, this should never have been in 3D.
No.
There are so many points where I got completely pulled out because, like I said, it looks awful. It's inexcusable.
I do suggest you see it in just standard, because it's not as bad, because a lot of that gets lost.
Well, yeah, no, like I was just gonna say, another thing that I said to Trevor when he asked me about it is, like, the best I can say is, like, don't see this in theater. This is that generic movie that you come home from a long work week, you put it on just to relax.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's on in the background at a party.
Yeah. What if you're going to watch this film at home? What I really suggest you do is you go out and you get an old VCR, you hook it up to your computer with an AVI, and you record it onto a VHS, because the downgrade will do it a lot of better, like a lot of wonders to help mask things. The worse this looks, the better it'll look.
In a lot of it, frankly, yeah, like, the best I can do here is a 2.5, because, like I said, I should have loved this, but the stuff that just hurt the film badly.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it the same. It's a 2.5 because it's not shit. I went into it actually expecting to be bored a lot of the time, and to just be like, are we done yet? And it actually passed by rather quickly, which is always a rave review for a film. The time passed, but this is a part of a genre of film that I believe should be bookended and spaced throughout with the old TV network bumpers for like Saturday matinees. You should get those horrible graphics and the sound like of a saxophone, and it should say, our special Saturday afternoon matinee. And that, because it puts you in a mind where you are willing to accept shit.
Yeah.
Because you're just watching some crap that they decide to throw on TBS in the afternoon. Cool. That would prepare you. Instead, this oddly had a little bit too much press as an indie darling film, like indie action film, where it's like, ooh, it's Ang Lee, but studios can't handle Ang Lee anymore, so he has to do it himself. And it's like,
oh no,
studios looked at this one. No.
No, for an Ang Lee film, this is studio as fuck.
This is so bad and so lazy and so studio, and like literally when we said there's one good action scene and the rest of it is second director unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a second director film.
So with that, you'll end of the month you'll be able to find most of us at HalCon in varying capacities. Next month we'll be back, actually the first of the month, to discuss Terminator Dark Fate. And then the middle of the month will be the reboot of Charlie's Angels. Yes, there have been so many reboots of it, I've honestly lost track. But until then, if you would like to support the show, you can go to addytheadipose.redbubble.com, where you can find some truly unique, geeky sci-fi shirts that would then give me money to actually spend on this show in some capacity.
Money is good.
And until then, since I have nothing else to plug and we gotta get out of the studio, that's a wrap. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, share this video with your friends, and drop us a line anytime you like.